Would you like to be somebody who understands why speaking the truth makes you untouchable? Then listen to this entire video where I explain how speaking the truth entails locating problems which actually cause suffering for you, and if you can locate the problem, you can solve the problem and reduce your suffering. And when you speak the truth, you're essentially expressing how humanity feels in general, and nobody can attack you for how they feel themselves. So before we get into this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Let's get into it. So there's this really profound idea that speaking the truth in any given situation guarantees you the best possible outcome given the circumstances. For example, if you committed homicide, the best thing you can do is speak the truth and confess what you had done. That is a very complex idea to spar with and understand why it is correct. But I'm going to try and break it down today. I want to posit the idea that the utility of speaking truthfully, which is also called the logos, revolves around reducing dissatisfaction and suffering in life. That's where the utility is, and the greatest problem humans face in life is that they suffer. It's our mortality. And if you can reduce that suffering, it's the most valuable thing you can do for humanity. Okay. So there are two reasons why speaking the truth enables you to find to get access to the best possible outcome in life, and why it makes you untouchable. Reason number one. Problems create suffering. Let's say you're unemployed. If you're unemployed, you do not have a stable source of income, and you do not have access to resources then, such as medical care, nutrition, a social life. It's a big problem. You're basically threatening your well-being and your survival, your life, essentially. It's a problem. Now the question arises, why are you unemployed? If you face the truth and speak about your unemployment and why you're unemployed, you actually increase the likelihood of solving the problem, because there is a reason you're unemployed. Maybe you're uneducated. Maybe you're behaving in ways that are making recruiters reject you in job interviews. You're saying something that's making you, that makes the interviewer uncomfortable. If you talk about it to someone, go seek for advice, but you need to admit to yourself that there's a problem. If you don't speak about the truth, about the problem at hand, you reduce the probability of solving it, because you would need to essentially randomly find a solution to your problem. And because each problem in life, it has an idiosyncratic aspect to it, the likelihood of finding a randomized solution that happens to, let's say, suit the problem at hand perfectly, which it would need to solve the problem, is close to zero, that probability of that happening. Hence, you need to speak about it to characterize the traits of the problem before you can solve it. Now, if you lie about the problem at hand, about your unemployment or why you're unemployed, you deceive yourself partially, and you disguise the problem as something else. You disguise it as maybe as something else, like it's not, let's say the problem does not lie in your hands, but it's somebody else's responsibility. You guise it as something else. Then you cannot solve the problem. And then your suffering prolongs because you are still unemployed and you haven't solved the issue. Hence, speaking the truth, hypothetically, if you were able to speak the truth at all times, you would have no problems in life, and you would essentially reach the state of enlightenment where you have no suffering. You're simply like a divine being with omnipotence, something like that. And this is what Buddhism actually considers the most, I think it's the state of Buddha. It's enlightenment. It's where you see the truth for what it really is with 100% accuracy. And that is essentially, if you solve all problems, you speak the truth, you see the world for what it really is. And that's, of course, a hypothetical situation which we should aim for. Whether it's actually attainable, that's a different question. Okay, but if you speak the truth like that, the best outcome will arise for you given the circumstances. Reason number two, Speaking the truth makes you untouchable. Why? No one can hurt you when you express the truth. Why? Let's say you display one of your vulnerabilities publicly. You say you're lonely. Now the thing is, humans are surprisingly similar to a degree. They're surprisingly similar to one another. Now, when you show vulnerability, let's say you're lonely, you're expressing an issue, a problem that lies within every single other human being. Whether they feel it currently now or not, that's not really relevant, but it is a characteristic that is entailed or that is embodied within every single human. Now, this is leading on to this concept of interconnectedness, that if somebody humiliates, like the reason that I think a basic reason why people would try to avoid speaking the truth or showing their vulnerabilities is because they fear being humiliated, judged, ostracized, anything like that. That's understandable. I've definitely felt that myself. But if somebody humiliates you for showing vulnerability, they're essentially attacking themselves because they are themselves capable of feeling loneliness and have likely also felt it themselves before. They pay an enormous price for that. And I think that the fear of paying that price is present within all humans, which actually prevents them from humiliating other people for their vulnerability. Yeah. And the reason why somebody would pay a big price for humiliating someone else over their vulnerability is because there is a lot more of the vulnerability than there is of that person, of that insecure, myopic, ignorant person. The vulnerability is with every single human being. It's the truth, and there's a lot more of the truth of reality of the universe than there is of one person who thinks they're able to make fun of somebody else for their vulnerability. They're essentially making fun of the world and attacking the world, and the world, you know, with every bad intention there is a bad effect. That person will be crushed in return. Hence, you are untouchable to a degree. So if you speak, and I just came up with this whilst I was writing out the outline of this video, and I'm so proud of it. I think it's awesome. If you speak truthfully, there's nowhere for you to run. Thus, by default, you must be exactly where you're supposed to be. You're in the right place. Because if you speak the truth, like, that's just the way you are then. Like, you're speaking about the way you are, and you can't be, like, you cannot morph into something else. You're static. You are the way you are, and that's a truth. That's a truth. That's a truth that cannot be moved. And if you express that, there's nowhere else for you to run. So that by default kind of indicates maybe you're already in the right place then. That is where you're supposed to be. Because if you lie, then you are being something else, and you're not in that place. Like, because you can move other places, you can lie about, you can adapt the lie, you can transform the lie, you can deceive people continuously. You're always moving in different places, but this truth is grounded in itself, and nothing can move it, because it's an unnegotiable fact, period. Yeah. So in conclusion, I mean, first of all, I'm going to make more videos on this in the coming days to elaborate it more, because there are some classic, like, I can already think of people might counter-argue, or they say, like, okay, but people still humiliate each other. I mean, you can see how polarized people are nowadays. People, like, very quickly take up the opportunity to lacerate one another, especially in regards to politics or online on social media. I mean, the amount of, hate online it's unoverlookable, unoverseeable. Yeah, so, but in conclusion, the reason why speaking the truth gives you the best possible outcome given the circumstances is because when you speak about the truth, you're speaking about problems, and problems create suffering. They're the fundamental issue in life, problems. And when you speak about the truth, you are describing and attempting to solve the most fundamental thing in life. And that is hypothetical, I mean, that is essentially the most effective thing you can do, because it is the most fundamental problem. If you try to solve it, it's the most fundamentally effective thing to undertake, like endeavor to undertake. That's why it gives you the best possible outcome in life, given the circumstances, if you speak about the truth. And second, you're untouchable, because when you speak the truth, for example, about your vulnerabilities, you're essentially expressing a part of human nature that is present within everybody. And nobody can really successfully attack you for something that they feel themselves. And the reason why that's the case is because, I mean, people will still insult each other, that's for sure. But you, in some sense, won't be hurt by the insult, because something deep within you speaks to you and says, there's no point for you to feel bad. Or not no point, but there is no justification for you to feel bad about who you really are, in some sense. And I think that's a deeply deep, that's a dialogue that is played out deep within your being. Yeah, like a very deep thing, far deeper than, an insult that is thrown at you, I would say. So please leave a comment below whether you think there are any other reasons why speaking the truth makes you untouchable, or whether you agree or disagree with my statements. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Thank you for listening.